Okay, by this point, you guys know the drill. And if you don't, go watch one of these two videos, or watch both. The numbers going up makes me happy. Regardless, the final Owl House episode has aired, and despite the title of this video being probably something vague and ominous, this isn't a full season retrospective. I'll probably do that at some point, but for now, we're just going to split this into episodes. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the rules or this format and didn't go watch one of those two videos, I'll be splitting the last special of the Owl House, Watching and Dreaming, back into episodes. Well, back into episodes is heavily in quotes, but it works. To make my acrostic and a 23 episode season work, I have to hit 8 episodes, which I have completely backed myself into a corner here, and this special is written like a special and not like a condensed story like the other two, and so it's kind of a nightmare, which just means that if I was doing it all again, I would put way more filler in the first series of episodes because it actually fits there, whereas in these, you can't really put filler and it's kind of just go, go, go. It's obvious that none of the specials were written for this, and I just had a cool idea that is now turned into a task that I must complete, or else Dana Terrace will hunt me down and I'll be creatively unfulfilled for not finishing another thing that I tried to commit to. One of those things is worse, and I'm going to let you guys decide which one. But let's just get started. Episode 16, Our Nightmare. This episode will follow Luce, Ida, and King as they navigate through their nightmares. I think there are a lot of places to go here, and we really only saw the surface level of what could be at the top of the special. Obviously, the special was fast-paced, and I think you can easily space this out into a full episode. In fact, I want to make it 2. Episode 17, Until We Awake. Ideally, as I mentioned in the previous video, we take a late mid-season finale, and episode 16 is the premiere to the final arc of episodes. This will allow us to do a 2-part premiere. In the 2 parts, I want to follow every character and their nightmares. Show us Willow trying to find her dads alongside some of the others, Amity searching for Luce and confronting her mother, etc. Each of the main cast have their own nightmares that could easily cover a cool 2-part premiere that can show us their character growth, where they end up escaping because of their bond with each other, where they realize that something's off about them, in the same way that Luce did in the special. But the reveal that they've been turned into toys the whole time would make it all the more heartbreaking, which is, perfect for the show. Also, I don't think Camilla should have a nightmare. Just make it the kids, Ida and King. There's a few reasons for this, but I think that we got development between Camilla and Luce in the previous special, and it isn't as necessary here as showing the bonds the other characters have formed between themselves. The episode would wrap with Luce breaking King and Ida from the spell, and the Collector talking with Bellos and Rain's puppet body about playing his own games. This idea also allows for the next title to be Episode 18, Rain's Strings. Get it? Because they're a puppet of Bellos, and they play a stringed instrument? Get it? I'm so cool and This episode would follow a main plot of Rain holding Bellos at bay, them fighting, Rain learning of Bellos' plan, and then would end up culminating in an extended fight between them, and the eye lighting up like we see in the original special. I know it seems early in the season, but I think we can let it happen because you have to remember that all of these episodes take place over 2.5 hours, max. The subplot for this episode would be Ida, King, and Luce outthinking the Collector and breaking each of his games. Nothing super deep here because I think that the main plot would already be kind of heavy, but you can set up some of the Collector stuff that will lead into this next episode. We'll leave the Collector crying as he did in the special, but the last scene would be the Eye of the Titan, just like that lighting up, because I think it's a really cool shot to end on. Episode 19, Epic of the Collector. Considering the last episode would have ended with Bellos possessing the Titan, the only next possible option is a flashback. I really like cutting away from dramatic moments with flashbacks. I don't know why, but you see it on the other one. Anyway, I really want this episode to just encompass the Collector's backstory intercut with their interactions with Bellos. Give us more of a history and lore. I think framing it as the Collector telling his story to Luce, Ida, and King in a way that's kind of just a longer version of this scene from the special would work really, really well. And it could make this character really compelling going into the last 4 episodes. In the special as is, the Collector did kind of a quick switch. I think it was set up well for the time they had, but I think this could make it feel less rushed. It would also let us set up King's father for if we maybe needed to use him in the future or something. I don't know. Episode 20, The Birdhouse. Genuinely, this title sucks, and I love it so much. The letter T is there, and there are a million other options, but I think this is funny. This is our last episode before all the fighting really starts, and it's kind of going to start here, but this is the setup for the 3-part finale. This episode would encompass Luce turning the tables and telling the Collector about her, Ida, and King's story and everything that's happened to them so far. This gives us a chance for 1, emotional flashbacks to devastate the audience, and 2, a one last ride feel going into these final episodes. This episode would culminate in the same way it does in the special, with the Collector being like, hey, do you hear breathing? Then realizing it's coming from the castle, and then Luce getting iced. I think you can really just lift a lot of this straight from the special and then add a few more specifics in, and it would work really well. The subplot for this episode would be Amity waking herself up and then waking up the other members of the gang, just as Luce goes to the world between worlds, or realm between realms, or purgatory. Episode 21, Under a Titan's Influence. It's a wordy title, but it has a cool double meaning, so I'm using it. Ideally, these last 3 episodes air together, a la Weirdmageddon. Because without doing that, I think it would feel strange with how I have it planned out. You'll see. Under a Titan's Influence would cover the fallout of Luce's death, her conversation with King's father, and then her return, up until the hand starts moving upwards, at which case we would enter episode 22, Running Out of Time. So here's where my prestige for this season drops. Belos loses in this episode. This episode fully encompasses everything else in the fight, and then ends with everyone reuniting. This is why I think it only works if all 3 of these air together, because the last episode is kind of all resolution. Now, before you get mad at me and, want me to stretch out between 3 episodes, allow me to explain myself. Episode 23, New Isles. I'm going to level with you. This special was the most difficult to split up, but I think I'm happy with where it's at. Let me explain. In this special, there are 5 easy major plot points to hit in this series of episodes. The Nightmare, the Collector's Games, Remembering the Past, the fight with Titan Belos, and the rebuild/resolution. The fight and rebuild is really easy to make into a 3-part finale, though it would work better as one big special. The acrostic has screwed me over once again. But there you have 6 episodes. But after that, it gets tough. I had a collector flashback to get us to 7, and because I wanted more lore, and I think it's something that fits, but where do you go after that? Personally, I liked to make the Nightmare a 2-part and add the other characters into it. But here's the thing. That leaves the 3-part finale either divided up kind of strangely, or it leaves us with a resolution episode. Kind of. Episode 23 is going to have 2 major things in it. A rebuilding of the Boiling Isles, and the time skip. And the way to make it work would not really be a hunky-dory episode, but some interpersonal conflict. One of my very few problems with the finale is that a lot of our main characters don't interact that much. And I'm sure if you watch all 3 specials back to back, it doesn't feel like something's missing, but in the time between the specials, it kind of does. But I think the way to solve that is to put the choice on Luce's back of what does she do next. Does she stay in the Boiling Isles, or does she go home? Home in quotes. And then we get to see the construction of the new door and all of that, and we end the same way with the time skip. Alternatively, we could have Amity ask her what she's doing next, throw it a commercial, and then come back to the time skip with the narration. But that might be a bit too mean of a fake out. But putting these questions on our characters, I think, could work really well and show that even though the big bad guy is gone, we still have the struggles between ourselves. And if there's a theme of the 3rd season of the Owl House, there it is. The first arc of this season was about the secrets we keep. The second was about our insecurities, and the third is about growth, who we will become, and the people that we let change us. We see the Collector change. We see Luce, Ida, and King go over who they were and who they became together. And we see the growth the other characters have gone through their nightmares and how they break out of them, by realizing what's going on through their bond together. This split isn't perfect, and that's because it wasn't written to be made into episodes. I just like being difficult and posing myself a challenge. As I go through this script and all these videos again, I really think that I'm happy with what I have here. And though obviously I wanted a full-length season 3 for the Owl House, I think the specials we got are phenomenal. And I don't think I would trade them for another season. You might disagree with me, and I'm sure some people vocally will in the comments, but this show means a lot to me, and presumably if you're still here, it means a lot to you too. So thank you for watching this video and the others if you did. As I mentioned, I'll probably make a video about the full series at some point, but it'll be a bit because I don't think I have anything new to say that's not going to be said by a million other videos on the platform. Regardless, check out some of my other videos while you're here if you would, and in case you didn't solve the actual Owl House Season 3's code, thanks for watching.